From the title of today's video, you guys already know what we're going to be doing today. I'm going to show you guys all the parts and all of the stuff I'm going to be using on the new setup for the 22RE. If you guys have me on Instagram, you guys would know I already picked up my turbo manifold from Luxury Choices. You can see they did an amazing job doing the ceramic coating. It looks amazing. That new T4 flange welded up nicely. And here you can see I have my TurboSmart 38mm wastegate. I did say I am going to change out that eBay wastegate, and I have decided to run a TurboSmart. This should be a very good piece to the puzzle. Obviously over here we have the biggest piece to the puzzle, which is the actual turbo. If you guys have not seen the video of this turbo and the sizes and everything, I'll put the link to it in the description. What the goal is for today's video is to get the manifold on, the wastegate, the turbo, and try to see if the downpipe's gonna work. If the downpipe works, then I'll run my water lines, I'll run everything else, which is what these fittings are for my water lines for the turbo. The other thing I have to do is drain my oil and change my oil, change the oil filter as well, and I'm also gonna be changing out my oil return. But the only thing that's going to stop me from getting this thing complete today is my oil return fitting. I do not have one that is the correct size for the new turbo, because this one is much larger than all the other ones I have. So I can run my lines, I can run everything else except for that fitting. So that's going to stop me from getting it completely done and started, which is a bummer, because I really want to get this thing started and going, because I'm ready to take this thing to the dyno and get it tuned. So the first thing that I have to do is take out these rags that I had covering the exhaust ports, and I have to clean out the surface of where my gasket is going to go. So if you guys take a look at this, this is my gasket. I had already cut this thing out. You can see, I don't know if you guys remember, but this usually comes with the metal plate here to cover the spark plugs. They did tell me to just take the whole plate off, but I want to keep the plate there, so I just cut it off to where the top of the manifold goes. The reason why I had to cut it is because if you look at my manifold, it does not have the cutout. It is just flat. So I had to cut out the metal in order for this to work, and I wanted to keep the shield so it keeps the spark plug away from the heat. Try to go in as careful as possible. What I had to do is I had to torque them down. I got my nice snap-on torque wrench here, and I torqued down those bolts to 33 foot-pounds. Now we are basically ready to install the turbo. Before I do the turbo, I'm gonna go ahead and install the wastegate. One thing that I absolutely love about TurboSmart is in their package, they include all the gaskets, all the bolts, all the seals, literally everything that you need to install this onto your vehicle. I have already installed the springs, and I put springs to go up to 26 pounds. That was actually very easy. In the kit, it actually includes the tool that you need to change out the springs. They include all the spring sizes you need. Now this thing is ready to go on. Wastegate is installed. You can see it looks beautiful. Yeah, this thing is coming together very nicely. Now that the manifold's in, you can kind of get an idea how it's going to look with that new Chase Bays brake booster eliminator. And before I put the turbo on, I am going to mess with this hose and try to connect the hoses real quick. So this is how I have my hoses going to the wastegate. I just got two ports, one going to the top, one going to the bottom. All the rest of them are plugged up. My hoses ended up being a little bit short because the setup on this wastegate is different from the eBay one. The eBay one had the port right on the top, and I had my hose running this way, but now I had to run the hose, you know, coming out this way. But it looks amazing. Now the next thing I'm ready for is the turbo. The bolt's a little bit too long. So if you guys don't know exactly what happened, I was having issues with putting this bolt in, and if you guys look up close, you will see I had to cut a little slot out to be able to put the bolt in. You see that slot, I sliced it out. The second one that I was having trouble with was the real one. So what I had to do is put a stud on the manifold. So now we're gonna try it again. I have been tackling this thing for quite some time. It was very hard to get anything to get in there to tighten up that bolt right there, but I was able to do it. But what I ended up using was these crowfoot sockets. These things worked amazing right now. I never use these, but they came in very handy right now. I'm gonna put the turbo to the correct angle that I need it. As you can see here, I can move it around. I loosen up all those bolts, and then I will tighten up all of them. Alright, so I have made a ton of progress. I finished tightening up all the bolts on the manifold, holding the turbo housing on, and I adjusted the turbo to where I needed it. I got it straight up and down. I tightened down all the bolts on the exhaust housing and the intake housing as well, and you can see I got this thing going straight through here, which is perfect. I did have to extend it just a little bit more. I'm just gonna have to put the clamps a little bit tighter. I might need to get one of these a little bit longer because it is pretty close to the edge on this side. My main concern right now is whether or not my hood is going to close. So that's exactly what we're gonna test. Okay, I mean, did it hit? Yeah, it hit. It did hit. No. Look at this gap. This gap. It's so close. I might have to cut this down here, wherever it's hitting, and cut that out of the hood. So what I'm gonna work on doing now is running the water lines. I do have everything to do that, so I'm gonna go ahead and do the one going to the return. If you see that nipple down there on the radiator hose, right there, that's where I'm going to put the water return from the turbo. So this is gonna be the return side going down there, and then the feed, I'm gonna get it from one of my old sensors that I do not need. I have a little port. If you see right there, I'm gonna use that port, and that's gonna be the feed. So these are the fittings that I have to go to the turbo. This one will connect to the turbo, and then it goes to an AN8 fitting that goes to a 1/2" hose. One of the things that I was really afraid of is my downpipe not working, but I just mounted it up. Now the fitment is actually better than the old setup, because before it was actually hitting my frame down in the bottom, but now I can actually put my finger in between the downpipe and my frame, so I shouldn't have issues with that anymore. We did make a lot of progress today, which I am very proud of. One of the goals of this weekend was to get this thing on, and I did get the turbo on. Honestly, I got more done than what I thought I was going to be able to get done. So now I have that oil return fitting ordered. Gotta wait for that to come in sometime this week. And I have to get some more of that braided 5/8 line so I can finish running my coolant lines for the turbo. And then this thing should be ready to rip. Let me know down in the comments what you guys would do, if you guys will run that turbo guard or an air filter. If I run an air filter, you can see it is really close to my distributor and the wires, so I would have to get like a little elbow and then put the filter right here. Pretty soon, like I said, this thing's gonna get done and we should be heading to the dyno. I'm fingers crossed, hopefully next weekend, if not the next week, this thing will be headed to the dyno. You guys for sure will know. If you guys do not have me on Instagram yet, you guys are missing out. Follow me on Instagram at 2JoZ for daily uploaded content. Daytona truck meet is also coming up next month, which is the reason why I'm trying to get this truck done quick so I can drive it, because Daytona is about 2 hours, an hour and a half from me. So it's gonna be a big drive for Tina, you know, with the new setup. So I wanted to get this setup done, drive it for a few weeks, make sure everything is good before I make that long drive. And if not, maybe I'll have to trailer it or something, I don't know yet. But yes, I will be heading to Daytona truck meet this year. It's gonna be very lit. I'm very excited to see some reactions, you know. But before I think of any of that, I wanna get this thing done, focus on getting it done. Fingers crossed everything goes well. So in the next video, we should be putting everything else together, putting that oil return fitting, all that other little stuff, and we should be getting this thing ready to go. Peace out, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.